All right. Good morning or good afternoon or good whatever time of day it is for you as you watch this video. Today we're going to be looking at factoring trinomials. This is an exciting kind of big step here for us. We're going to specifically focus today on the type x squared plus bx plus c. If you look ahead in your book, you'll notice that 9.6, section 9.6 in your book, has a coefficient a in front of this x squared term. So not a huge difference, but there is a difference in how we factor them. We're going to start with this first video, just in example 1, and I'm actually going to look above example 1 on page 519 in your textbook is an introduction that starts at the end and moves back to the beginning. So I think that can be really helpful for us. If you notice, it starts with the product x plus 3 times x plus 5. Now this is actually the answer we're going to be looking for today. Okay, but in this very introduction, it goes backwards. It starts with our answer. These would be the factors. We know factors are things that are multiplied together. And when we multiply them, like we've been doing, we can see where these factors come from. So our factors would be the firsts, x times x, or x squared. There's our x squared. The outsides, so x times 5, those are the outside. The insides, 3 times x, and the lasts, 3 times 5. Now, notice we have 3 and 5, those numbers, as the coefficients here and as the product here. When I simplify this, I add these like terms together, and I'm going to show one step before I get to my final step that we don't typically write. Notice those numbers 3 and 5, those are part of the factors here that we're going to be trying to get for our answer, show up as a product. That's where the c is, the constant, 3 times 5, and a sum. We add those two numbers together to be the coefficient for x. So x squared plus 8x plus 15 is our final answer. In order to get there, we had two numbers, x plus 3 and x plus 5, and to decide what are those numbers, well, they're the numbers whose product is 15 and whose sum is 8. So when we factor a trinomial, and this is the last sentence in that introduction that I think is really important, to factor a trinomial of the form x squared plus bx plus c, some coefficient and some constant, you must find two numbers that have a sum of b notice that's the 5 plus 3 gives us 8, a sum of b and a product of c. That's 3 times 5, which is 15. So what does that look like going the other direction? If we were to start with this trinomial and wanted to rewrite it as a product of two binomials. Okay, so that's our goal today, is to be able to factor a trinomial, and that's in the title, but this is important, into two binomials. Whoa, should probably not mark that out. That's our goal today. Okay, so let's look at an example. X squared plus 7x plus 12. And as we get used to this, a method that can be helpful is to make a table seeing what are my goals. Well, we said we want a sum of B and a product of C. That was our definition up here. So in this case, we want a sum of B is 7 and a product of C, or 12. So product of 12 means two numbers who multiplied together give us 12. Let's see what those might be. We're going to have fewer, and I think I made this differently than the book. We're going to have fewer pairs of numbers whose product is 12 than whose sum is 7. So we're actually going to start, and this is why the book actually makes this the first thing in the table. Let's try that instead. We'll follow the book's example. Factor of 12 and a sum of 7. And here's why the book does it this way instead of this way. It's because the factors of 12, the pairs of numbers whose product or who multiply to give us 12, there are fewer pairs of factors than there are some that have a sum of 7. So one example would be 1 and 12. 1 times 12 is 12. But the sum of those factors, 1 plus 12 is 13. That is not 7. So that's not going to be our answer. Next one is 2 and 6. 2 plus 6 is 8. Again, not 7. 3 times 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. Oh, I think we have our winner. So this is our pair of factors to help us factor the trinomial. And each time we're finding a pair of binomials. And notice in that first example, we had x plus and x plus. X plus and x plus. And that x and x, the firsts, multiply to give us x squared, so that checks out. And then we use those two numbers we found, x plus 3 and x plus 4. This is our answer if we're asked to factor the expression. And I could go through and check that to make sure. I could say first times first is x, x squared. Outsides, 4x. Insides, 3x. There's our 4 plus 3. And then last, 3 times 4. And we do have, in fact, you do not have to do this check, but if you're not sure if you got the right factors, that's a great way to confirm that. This would be a good time to pause, try, quick check. 1, you can try all 3, A, B, and C. I'll put those answers up here in a second. Just pause, try those. Okay, our answer for A, g squared plus 7g plus 10. The factors of 10, we can have 1 and 10 or 2 and 5. It's actually 2 and 5 that give us the sum of 7. B, v squared plus 21v plus 20. Factors of 20 are 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. But the pair that has a sum of 21 is 20 and 1. And finally, C, a squared plus 13a plus 30. Again, we're looking for factors of 30. So 1 and 30, 5 and 6, 3 and 10. And the pair that gives us a sum of 13 is 10 and 3. Again, I would encourage you to make this table just like the book does of pairs of factors and their sums as you're getting more comfortable finding those. Look ahead to our second video for the rest of our examples. Thanks.